Ahoy there, my children of the Force. Mother licking Ahsoka official trailer dropped today, and goddamn was the trailer wild. Like, I watched it and was floored by what we saw. There is a lot to discuss in this trailer. I originally wasn't going to do a stream, and I was like, you know what? Let's freaking roll, baby. Let's do this. So let's get into the Ahsoka trailer, and I'm going to give you guys a breakdown and discuss some of the things that I saw in the trailer, some of the things that I think we may see happen in Ahsoka, and just give you some of my general overall thoughts. But by and large, guys, I was left almost speechless by this trailer. I bombarded Danny Girl's cell phone with texts saying, yo, homegirl, you need to go and watch this trailer. She was busy, but she eventually got to it. So let's break it down. So I'm gonna give you guys pretty much almost shot by shot of the trailer, and we're gonna go through and discuss what I think is happening, what I think we might see. So let's start off with what we get in the opening of the trailer. The trailer, which is our homeboy Balin is appearing. We got a little bit of this in the teaser trailer where Balin and Shin, the two Dark Jedi characters, are attacking this New Republic ship. And I love that. I love the music throughout the trailer. It is so foreboding and it just sounds incredible, right? And so we hear Balin saying, "War is inevitable." And bro, is he talking about like, hey, there's always going to be conflict in this galaxy. There's always going to be conflict if the Jedi are around. Like, what does he mean by war is inevitable? And then we get this shot of him saying, we are no Jedi. Shin and I are no Jedi. And homeboy straight up slaughters them. And we saw this in the teaser trailer, Balin and Shin just straight up murking and slaughtering everyone on this New Republic starship. And I like that. I like that right out of the gate, the creators of this series are saying, hey, these are Dark Jedi. They are not good guys. They are here to mess shit up, and it is going to get wild. And I really like that the trailer opened with us getting this information from Balin. Then we get to see him kill this poor New Republic schlub. And you could see Shin in the background. She's going to town. I love too, like when you see, let me go back for a second. When you see Balin saying, we are no Jedi, you get a shot of, and I didn't take this screenshot, but of two New Republic, I don't know if they're soldiers or what, the pilots or whatever they would be. They both get shot in their chest. And if you listen, the music is timed perfectly with those shots as they hit these the bodies of these two New Republic individuals. So I love it. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. Star Wars Nerdy, welcome. Kitty Cat, Sean, Revan, my boy Bull Run. Good to see you here, my friend. Glad you're joining us. So yeah, I really like that right out of the gate, we are being told, which we knew that from the teaser trailer, that, bro, Balin and Shin, they are up to no good. They are going to be adversaries to Ahsoka. They're going to be causing problems. And I like that we got that information right out of the gate. And so we then move to Ahsoka, and we hear Ahsoka saying, hey, I'm starting to hear whispers. But before we start to see who she's talking about, I had to take a screenshot of this because when I saw this, I was like, yo, what is this supposed to be? Who is this being? What is this? What is the significance of this being? And initially my thought was, oh, this is another Togruta Jedi. This is some sort of Jedi Temple. We saw Ahsoka traveling to this, whatever planet this is, wherever she is. We saw this in the teaser trailer. My thought is Ahsoka is seeing a Togruta Jedi here in this carving, this wall carving. I'm going to shout out my wife, Danielle. Danny Girl was like, bro, I think that's the daughter. And once she said that, I immediately said to her, yes, I think you are correct. I think that this is supposed to be a carving of the daughter. And the daughter is very significant in Ahsoka's story. So for those of you unfamiliar with the daughter, we first learned about her from the Clone Wars. Back in season 3 of the Clone Wars, the daughter was essentially this Force god. She was a representation of the light side. And in that arc in the Clone Wars, the daughter winds up dying, Ahsoka winds up dying, and the daughter sacrifices herself to basically revive Ahsoka and to let Ahsoka live. And so throughout the Clone Wars and multiple points, we see the daughter kind of manifesting as a convor named Morai, and we see Morai following Ahsoka in multiple episodes, throughout the Clone Wars. We also saw her in season 2 of The Mandalorian when Din goes and sees Ahsoka on, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the planet right now, but Din travels to Ahsoka to try to pass Grogu off to Ahsoka, right? And you could see here right up in this top portion of the image, you could see that convor there, and that's Morai. And so a lot of times you see Morai when you see Ahsoka, and the idea is that, hey, Morai is kind of being like a guardian for Ahsoka, and that the daughter and Ahsoka have a very close relationship, and they're very intertwined amongst each other. So to me, when Danielle said to me, like, bro, I think this is the daughter, immediately I said that I think that that's correct. It makes sense. We've seen murals of the daughter, the father, and the son. So the father and the son were also Force gods. We saw a mural of them back in season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. So that makes a lot of sense to me that this could be the daughter. I really like the idea that it could be a mural of the daughter, or a carving of the daughter, because it's just another tie-in to Star Wars Rebels. This series is essentially Star Wars Rebels 2.0. And for us Star Wars fans that love Star Wars, to get to see the connection between Star Wars Rebels and also the Clone Wars, for those of us that love those cartoons, it's just another great nod to us fans of those shows. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that that's the daughter? Do you think that that's just some random Jedi? I think at the bare minimum, it's a Jedi. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you think that's the daughter, or just some random old Joe Schmo Jedi? All right, let's move and groove. So then we hear Ahsoka saying, I'm hearing whispers of Thrawn and his return as heir to the Empire. And again, this was something that we saw in another teaser trailer that was released, but I really like that Lucasfilm is letting us know, like, hey, Thrawn is 100% going to be the threat, and they're not laying it on light by saying heir to the Empire. That is 100% a nod to the Legends Thrawn trilogy. So the Legends Thrawn book trilogy that was written by Timothy Zahn, you'll often hear it referred to as the heir to the Empire trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy. And in that series of novels, Thrawn basically is fighting the New Republic. It takes place, I think, between 8 ABY and 10 ABY, so right around the same time period that The Mandalorian is taking place in, that Ahsoka is going to be taking place in. So I think a lot of beats and strokes from that Timothy Zahn trilogy we may see play out in this Ahsoka series, which I am totally down for. I've said this in multiple streams. I think, to me, this is like almost as easy of a layup as Lucasfilm can get by pulling from that Timothy Zahn trilogy, because it's a very beloved trilogy. Legends fans really like that series of novels, and I think for fans that have not read those novels, if Lucasfilm pulls plot points from those stories, I think fans that haven't read those novels would be very excited about some of the stuff that we could potentially get. So to me, I feel like it's an easy layup, a slam dunk for Lucasfilm to be like, hey, yeah, Thrawn's going to be the heir to the Empire. This is where we're going. This is a nod to you Legends fans, to give you an idea of kind of what to expect from this series and what to expect moving forward. So I really like that. They're laying it on thick. And dude, let's talk about our homegirl Morgan Elsbeth, excuse me. Because bro, all right, so we see, right, as Ahsoka is talking about Thrawn and the whispers that, you know, Thrawn's going to return, we see Shin and Balin on what I originally thought was the world between worlds, but we find out in this trailer that the location that we're going to, let me go to the next image so you guys could see. I originally thought that this location here was going to be the world between worlds, but we could see it's very clearly not, right? So let me back up here for a second. So we hear Shin say, what happens when we find Thrawn, right? And then Balin responds, power, such as you've never dreamed, right? Because again, going back to the heir to the Empire, in that series, Thrawn has at his disposal what's called a dark Jedi. And so you heard me refer to Balin and Shin as dark Jedi. And essentially the term dark Jedi arose in Legends in the 90s because at that point, Lucas had not created the term Sith. Like right around that point, Lucas was working on the prequels and started to develop the backstory for, you know, the Rule of Two, Darth Bane, Darth Plagueis, the name Sith. Those hadn't been created yet, so Timothy Zahn used the term Dark Jedi. But then that became a thing in Legends and in canon as well. That Dark Jedi were basically just Jedi Force users that were evil, but that did not subscribe to the Sith religion. And so Balin and Shin working with Thrawn, I think, is awesome because in the Thrawn Legends trilogy, Thrawn has at his disposal a dark Jedi. This was a clone of a Jedi Master, and this dark Jedi's name was Joruus C'baoth. And I've said this in other streams as well, that it makes sense to me that Thrawn would have other dark Jedi at his disposal in Ahsoka and moving forward because that just makes him that much more of a threat. If Thrawn has dark Jedi at his disposal, then that means, just like we're going to see in Ahsoka's got to get pulled into the fray. Ezra Bridger could be pulled into the fray. Luke Skywalker could be pulled into the fray. Because you have powerful Force users that are working with Thrawn, you then need to have other Force users to combat them. So it makes a lot of sense to me that we would see Shin and Balin allying themselves with Thrawn. And that was one of the things that I theorized and that a lot of people theorized, that, hey, I think we're going to see Balin and Shin work with Thrawn because it makes a lot of sense. Now, I want to back up for a second because I want to point something out to you guys. I was taking screenshots. Danny Girl was hanging out with me, and I'm like, yo, Danielle, is Morgan Elsbeth a freaking Dathomirian witch? Look at her outfit. Look at that like tunic. She's got the little tattoo on the top at her widow's peak, right? But look at which we know that Dathomirian Night Sisters will have face tattoos. That looks very much like an outfit that a Dathomirian Night Sister would wear. And one of the things too is, bro, look at the bottom of this image, right? Look right here. That looks very reminiscent to the green fire that we see when Night Sisters are drawing on that magic. That's essentially what their Force use is referred to as Night Sister magics, right? You often will see it represented as that like green flame. That to me, look, you could see the more of that outfit here. Red, I can't tell what's on her buckle. Bro, I saw that and I was like, yo, is she a Night Sister? How sick would that be if she's a Night Sister? But then that kind of makes me wonder, all right, if she's a Night Sister, why would she align herself with the Empire or an Imperial remnant, right? The Empire was responsible, or not the Empire, Sidious, General Grievous, they were responsible, and the Separatists were responsible for destroying the Night Sisters. But for all intents and purposes, right, it was the same entity, right? So I don't know. That's just a wild, kooky theory that I have. I don't know if Morgan Elsbeth is actually a Night Sister, but that was one of the things that caught my eye. Was, bro, her outfit looks very Night Sister-y, and I see some green flames there. I don't know. Maybe she's a Night Sister. That would be really cool if we find out that Morgan Elsbeth is a Night Sister. Because I know some people had theorized that. I'm totally drawing a blank on the name. They are they're like humans basically from a specific planet, and we saw them in season 4 or 5. It was an episode where Ahsoka is basically fighting Death Watch, and Death Watch had imprisoned the individuals from whatever planet. I'm drawing a blank. Some folks theorize that she might be that, but yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool if she's a Night Sister. That would be kind of fun. Then we get some more shots of our homegirl Hera. I've seen a lot of people kind of on the fence about what is it, Mary Elizabeth something. I can't remember her last name. Portraying Hera, and I'm ever the optimist. I always want to be optimistic, and I'm so far pretty optimistic about how Hera is going to be portrayed, in the series, because it seems like what we've gotten in the trailers that this seems on par with what we know of Hera from Rebels, what we know of her from Alphabet Squadron, from Star Wars Squadrons, right? I love that you hear her saying, I spent most of my life at war, which is so heartbreaking to think about, right? Our homegirl she grew up during the Clone Wars. She saw Ryloth ravaged by the Separatists, then by the Empire. She fought the Empire. Now she's fighting the Imperial Remnant during the days of the New Republic. Like, poor girl can't just take a damn breather and hang out with our homeboy Jason Syndulla. When I saw that line, it bummed me out a little bit, because I'm just thinking like, yo, she's been fighting for so long, for so many years. This girl must be physically and mentally drained. And I just want Hera to be able to kick up her feet and retire on what's the name of the planet that we saw Andor go to after the big heist scene? He had all that money. It was like that vacation planet. I want to see Hera retire to that planet, because she deserves it. Our homegirl deserves it. And we get a scene of Chopper. I freaking love Chopper so much. He is incredible, and it just makes me so excited that we are going to get to see Chopper again in this series. Chopper has appeared in Rogue One for like a second, but just knowing that we're going to get Chopper in live action, and that it's not going to be for just a brief second, is so great, because Chopper is incredible. I love Chopper so much, so this just makes me so happy. And so going back to Hera, right? She has spent so much time fighting. And now she's trying to convince the New Republic powers that be that, hey, we need to stop this growing threat before it gets any bigger. Essentially, after the fall of the Empire, after the official end of the war, which was in 5 ABY with the signing of the Galactic Concordance, that ended the war. The Empire surrendered, basically. The New Republic basically started to kind of be like, hey, we need to some extent demilitarize. And they didn't think that there was going to be a threat that they wouldn't be able to oppose, or that there would be a big enough threat to oppose them. And so we see that here in this shot, Hera has to explain to the powers that be, like, bro, if we don't stop this now, if we don't stop this threat now, it could become even larger than we could imagine. And again, I like that, because that's very much on par with Hera's character. That's the Hera that we know from Rebels. That's the Hera that we know from Alphabet Squadron, Alphabet Squadron, and then Star Wars Squadrons. Our girl's got foresight. She's with it. She understands the threat that Thrawn is and what a formidable foe he could be if he can start to reunite some of these Imperial factions that we know are in the Outer Rim during this time period of, again, like 8, 9, maybe 10 ABY in the current canon, where we're seeing the New Republic starting to the early days of the New Republic, I should say. So I really like that because, again, like I said, I love Hera, and so far I think what we're seeing of this character is right on par with the Hera that we know. And then we get to see I used an image from the teaser trailer because this was a little bit easier to see. You could see we've got our homegirl Mon Mothma over here, right? And then this character here, for those of you that are fans of Star Wars Resistance, or if you've watched Star Wars Resistance, or maybe if you're even familiar with Resistance, Kazuto Xiono, this is his father. Is it Hamada? For some reason, Xiono is sticking into my brain, but I don't know if that's his actual first name. But anyway, this is Kazuta's dad, which I think is cool because in Star Wars Resistance, Kazuto Xiono's father is he's from Hosnian Prime. He's a senator from Hosnian Prime. So it would make sense. The Hosnian Prime, it's at this point in time, I believe it's Chandrilla. So during the days of the New Republic, one of the things that the New Republic would do is they move the capital of the New Republic from different planets. So it was Chandrilla for a time. During the events of the sequel trilogy, we learn it's Hosnian Prime. I'm trying to think in Resistance. Yeah, it would have been Hosnian Prime was the capital, but I think at this point, Chandrilla is still the capital of the New Republic. I'm not 100% sure of that or not. But I do like that we're getting to see some connective tissue between this series and Star Wars Resistance, because Dave Filoni also had a hand in Resistance. And then as we see Hera speaking, we get our homegirl Ahsoka. And I like that basically Ahsoka is those two are talking about what's happening, and Hera's like, bro, I know someone that could help you out. And we start to get some information about Ahsoka and Sabine's relationship, which was the biggest holy shit to me from this trailer. So we're starting to get some information here that, hey, Ahsoka and Sabine, like they had some sort of relationship prior to this series. And going back to Star Wars Rebels, Sabine absolutely knows Ahsoka from their time during Star Wars Rebels, but those two didn't interact with each other a lot. A lot of Ahsoka's time in Star Wars Rebels comes from season 2 of that series, and her time was spent mainly with Ezra, Kanan, and for a little bit, I'm trying to think also maybe Rex, but it was primarily Kanan and Ezra. Alluding to that, yeah, those two Ahsoka was training Sabine, and there was some friction between those two. And one of the things that I said to Danielle when we were talking about this trailer was, I like that. I like that we're getting, all right, Ahsoka and Sabine were doing some kind of training, right? And it wasn't working out. Things didn't go as well as either of them would have hoped. One of the things I said to Dana Girl was that kind of mirrors Ezra and Kanan's relationship, and those two during Ezra's training. Initially, Kanan and Ezra, there was friction between those two. At one point, Kanan wanted to dump Ezra off on, he thought Luminara's Unduli was still alive. He wanted to dump Ezra with Luminara. But eventually those two came around and they really began to appreciate one another. They really helped each other grow as Jedi. And I think that's what we're going to see potentially with Sabine and Ahsoka. So Maninan, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Kitty Cat, asks, where is Ezra Bridger? I have no freaking clue where Ezra is. I have no clue where our homeboy is. I don't know. If I had to guess, he went into the unknown regions, but I honestly don't know. I think the series is going to bring Ezra back into the fold. Has to, right? I feel like you don't cast Ezra for live action if you don't intend to bring him into this series outside of just a holo, right? Because we'll go over that holo in a little bit. But I think at some point we're going to learn exactly where Ezra wound up. I think it might be the unknown regions, but I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. But I like that as Ahsoka is talking about Sabine. Yeah, she's still as stubborn as ever. And that is totally Sabine, right? Sabine is she's headstrong. She's kind of like, we've kind of seen that with the Mandalorians. They're kind of stubborn in their ways sometimes. But for the Mandalorians, for the most part, obviously there's some bad eggs in that barrel. But Sabine's a good egg. She definitely can be stubborn. I started a rewatch of Rebels, and the episode that I just rewatched yesterday was the episode where Sabine and Hera get marooned on Anaxis, and a lot of that episode was centered on Sabine, kind of like there was tension between Sabine and Hera because Hera wouldn't reveal who Fulcrum was to Sabine. And if we learn in Rebels that Fulcrum was Ahsoka, who was feeding the Ghost Crew information about the Empire. But Sabine wouldn't let up, and that led to friction between her and Hera that they had to resolve throughout the episode. So again, I like that tracks with what we know about Sabine, that, yeah, she's still just as stubborn as she ever was. So I like that. And I love the scene of her on that speeder on the highway in Lothal. Freaking loved it because, again, for us Rebels fans, we've seen that highway countless times. It looks beautiful. I love that we see that E-Wing chasing her, which I don't know why the heck an E-Wing is chasing her. Apparently, I don't know if this is true, but one of the things I saw on Twitter is that apparently the Arabesh writing on her helmet might say babe. I don't know if that's true or not, but even if it's not, the fact that she's got a Loth cat drawn on her helmet, I absolutely love it. And then we hear Hera saying to Ahsoka, hey, I bet your master found you. And then we hear Ahsoka say Anakin never finished my training. And this isn't the only time in the trailer we're going to hear Anakin's name come up. But man, just hearing Ahsoka, it made me not Ahsoka, Anakin. It just made me super happy. I wonder if we're going to hear Ahsoka talk about Anakin. One of the things I've heard a lot of people say is, hey, do you think we could see Hayden Christensen return as a Force ghost as Anakin in this series? And I don't know. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I'm going to give a spoiler warning for Shadow of the Sith. So if you don't want anything spoiled from that novel, dip out now. But in that novel, Anakin appears to Luke as a Force ghost. And I'm trying to remember, does that happen like 20 years after Return of the Jedi? I can't remember exactly when that novel takes place, but it's incredible. But in that novel, Anakin struggled to present himself as a Force ghost, which makes sense because, right, how would he really have known how to manifest as a Force ghost? So it makes sense to me that he wouldn't really be able to fully manifest himself as a Force ghost for very long. And I say that because part of that makes me wonder if we would see Hayden Christensen reprise his roles of Force ghost as Anakin, but I would love that. And Dave Filoni is definitely no stranger to retconning stuff from comics or books, so it wouldn't surprise me if we were to see Anakin as a Force ghost in the series, but it also wouldn't surprise me if we don't. But either way, just hearing an Anakin name drop, I was like, oh, this is great. It also kind of breaks my heart knowing what happened with Anakin and Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, and even their interaction, their duel on Malachor and Rebels, just incredible. And then we hear Ahsoka saying to Hera, I walked away from him just like I walked away from Sabine. So my assumption is that the relationship between Sabine and Ahsoka got tenuous. And Ahsoka was like, yo, I'm out of here, bro. I'm not dealing with this headache. But I don't know if that's the case. At the bare minimum, we know Ahsoka stepped away from probably training Sabine for one reason or another. I imagine we are going to learn more about that past, about their relationship and what caused the tension between the two. Because we hear multiple times like, hey, the past being mentioned, being brought up. So I think one of the central themes we might see in this series is delving into the past of both of these characters, both Ahsoka and Sabine, because both of them have trauma that they've dealt with in their life, you know, and we might see them having to revisit old wounds from the past to become better individuals and to grow. And that could be a theme or a motif that we see throughout the series, which I think would be really cool. I don't know if that's the case, but I think that would be fun. So Kitty Cat asks, wonder if we'll get Clone Wars flashbacks. I would be all about it. We know that Tamura Morrison is going to reprise his role as Rex. So, bro, sign me up for some Clone Wars flashbacks. And again, as I mentioned, I think a central aspect, at least one of the vibes I got from the trailer, is the idea of the past and potentially having to move on from that to be able to grow. So it wouldn't shock me if we see some flashbacks of Ahsoka with Rex, or maybe even Ahsoka and Sabine and Rex together. Flashbacks from their time as the Ghost Crew during Rebels. I think that would be really cool as well. And this is where we get the biggest like bombshell of the trailer for me. Sabine calls Ahsoka Master. And this is where I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Does this mean that Ahsoka is Force sensitive? Because why would Sabine train with Ahsoka and call Ahsoka Master? Why would Sabine be an apprentice to Ahsoka if she was not Force sensitive? What would be the reason? I saw some people saying that, hey, she could just be training with Ahsoka because they're both warriors and Ahsoka would have a lot to teach Sabine. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But Sabine trained with Kanan in Rebels so that she could wield the Darksaber. She didn't refer to Kanan as master. Why would she refer to Ahsoka as master if she wasn't training with her because she's Force sensitive? Let me fast forward here in my stills. Tell me that does not look like Sabine trying to use the Force. There was, and I didn't want to read spoilers or some of the things that came out from the trailer that was released at Star Wars Celebration, but there was information about, hey, we see in an image of someone's hand what looks to be trying to use the Force to move like a cup or a rock, but you can't tell who it was. Guys, I'm starting to wonder, is Sabine Wren Force sensitive, and did she train with Ahsoka as Ahsoka's apprentice? And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, hell yes. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, it kind of makes sense to me. She was an extremely formidable warrior. She could wield the Darksaber very well. She had to train, but she picked up wielding the Darksaber way faster than Din ever did. She trains with Kanan, and over the course of one episode is wielding that thing like it ain't no thing. Where we see Din, he really struggled to wield the Darksaber. I mean, you could say the same thing of Bo-Katan. She was able to wield the Darksaber with more ease. We know she's not Force sensitive, but I just think, to me, that's just another feather in the cap of, hey, Sabine could be Force sensitive. I could be totally wrong here. Sabine could have just been training with Ahsoka because, hey, they're both warriors, right? And Ahsoka has a lot of useful and valuable information to provide to Sabine just as a Mandalorian and as a warrior. But to me, the fact that we see Sabine refer to Ahsoka as master, we get this image of her here holding up this hand, and we specifically hear Shin say to Ahsoka, "You have no power." I think the implication is that Sabine is force sensitive, which, yo, sign me up, man. I would be all about that. I would freaking love that. So Kitty Cat asks, maybe it's a sign of respect. That could be. But again, I just think, you have to remember Dave Filoni is creating this series. Dave Filoni understands the importance of the term master, right? That term in Star Wars holds significant weight. I don't think we would just hear that thrown around willy-nilly. The only thing I will say is it could potentially be a red herring. Like, what if Sabine is saying that to Ahsoka almost sarcastically? I could see that. But yeah, I'm starting to think that, hey, we might see that Sabine is potentially force sensitive. One of the things I really like about the trailer too, or that one of the things that I'm super excited about now with Ahsoka, I was already extremely excited about Ahsoka, but the official trailer really makes it seem like this is going to be the Ahsoka Sabine show. Like the teaser trailer, we got to see Sabine, but it didn't make me think that, hey, Sabine was going to play a big role in this series. Now it seems like, hey, this is going to be the Ahsoka and Sabine adventure to find Ezra, to thwart Thrawn, which, sign me up, man. I love Sabine Wren. She's an excellent character. So this is all seeming extremely exciting for me. And then we get the first clip of audio of a live action Ezra Bridger speaking. And I love this. I don't know, because we hear Ezra say, as a Jedi, sometimes you have to make the decisions no one else can, but I'm counting on you to see this through. And I didn't go back and watch the finale of Rebels before doing this stream, and it's been a hot minute since I've watched that episode, so I can't remember exactly what Ezra says in the recording the holo recording he made before the liberation of Lothal, before he gets sent into the unknown regions with Thrawn. So this clip could be part of the holo recording that we saw play out in Rebels. It could be something different. But either way, I was super freaking pumped when we hear Ezra speak. I wasn't expecting that. I think that's awesome, and it just gives me more hope that, hey, Sabine and Ahsoka are gonna find Ezra at some point in this series. Because again, how do you cast someone for live action if you're not intending to really use them in the series? So it would make sense that we're gonna see him at some point. I love this shot here, right? Because again, right, Ezra saying, the Jedi, sometimes you have to make the decision no one else can, but I'm counting on you to see this through. And I freaking love this so much. So goddamn much, guys. Because 100% this is a callback to the episode Jedi Knight when we see Kanan die. And I talked about this in one of my Q&As a few weeks ago, that the question was, what's some of the most heroic things a Jedi has done for you, or some of the moments to you that you think are some of the most heroic Jedi actions. And one of the things I said was Kanan's sacrifice, because I believe that Kanan knew leading up to that mission to rescue Hera, I think Kanan learned he was going to die. I don't know if the Loth Wolves told him this. I don't know if he was just, he figured it out. He was found this information out through the Force. If he had a Force vision, I don't know. But it seems to me that Kanan knew he was going to die, and he still did everything he did to save the people that he loved. It is one of the most incredible and heartbreaking moments in all of Star Wars for me. And I love this callback because clearly we're seeing Sabine cut her hair just as Kanan does, But not only that, just hearing what Ezra is saying, right? Sometimes you have to, as a Jedi, sometimes you have to make the decision that no one else can. And I love that because, again, I think that's going to be part of the theme that we're going to see with Sabine and Ahsoka in this story, that those two are going to have to make some harder decisions. They're going to have to face some of the traumas from their past to grow as individuals. And I like that. And again, is it a coincidence that we're hearing Ezra talking about decisions that you have to make as a Jedi when we're right as we're seeing Ahsoka, or excuse me, not Ahsoka, Sabine cutting her hair? Again, I think that's more just another nod that Sabine could be Force sensitive, which signed me up, bro. I love this. Got to talk about this because we get the shot of Ahsoka. So essentially, we're going to be seeing almost shot for shot what we saw in the epilogue of Rebels, which I love. Oh, the epilogue of Rebels, guys, is so incredible. Some of the best Star Wars storytelling. And so we're going to get to see that play out in this series, but I could already see the fans being upset because we could see here that Ahsoka is wearing that gray robe, where in Rebels we see her wearing that white robe. And Dave Filoni has talked a lot. He's posted images to social media of Ahsoka standing next to Gandalf. How Dave Filoni has viewed Ahsoka, or views Ahsoka, kind of as this like Gandalf-like figure, Gandalf-like character. And that's why we see in the epilogue of Rebels, Ahsoka appearing to Sabine dressed in all white. That was 100% an homage to Gandalf the White. But we have to remember, before people lose their mind, Dave Filoni did not think necessarily that there was ever going to be a sequel to Star Wars Rebels, or that he would ever be able to do this. So, just think of it as another interpretation of that story. And the color of her robe doesn't really matter. What matters is these two characters, Ahsoka and Sabine, they're going to go on this life-changing journey, this character-defining journey with each other to find themselves and to find their friends and to become better, whether it's both Jedi or just better, one individual being a Jedi and one a Mandalorian. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I think people I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't get to spend a ton of time on Twitter, but I could already see people pointing that out on Twitter. Love this moment because, again, right, as I just mentioned, good segue into this shot. These two, the journey that these two are going to take with each other to find themselves, to find Ezra. And we get to see my boy, Professor Huyang. Guys, I cannot tell you how excited it makes me knowing we're getting our boy Huyang in this series. And bro, is Huyang just along for the ride? Like, is Huyang going to be in every episode with Ahsoka and Sabine? I couldn't handle seeing Huyang get destroyed. So to me, Huyang's got to be along for the ride. And I love it because David Tennant is incredible, who voices Huyang. He's a great actor. Huyang is amazing. So just seeing Huyang made me so damn excited. And I love that he's like, yeah, right along for the ride with Ahsoka and Sabine. And then we get some more action sequences of Ahsoka dueling an HK assassin droid. We saw those droids back in season 2 of The Mandalorian when we saw the episode with Ahsoka, when Ahsoka and Din go and fight Morgan Elsbeth. And I'm going to die on this hill. That to me is 100% the eighth brother. One of the theories I had when the teaser trailer came out that, Balin, Ahsoka, they're using the world between worlds, so maybe that means the eighth brother didn't die. He was able to use a portal in the world between worlds and fast forward into the future. But what we know now is that's not. My theory was straight malarkey, pulling it out of my bunshole. Basically, what we know is this Inquisitor, and I think this Dave Filoni said this was in an interview for Empire magazine. I can't remember. Basically, the Inquisitor, I think, is the eighth brother, but he just referred to him as an Inquisitor. Wound up basically working as a mercenary, and so I'm guessing that we may find out that like the Imperial Remnant, maybe Thrawn, they could be gunning for Ahsoka. Morgan Elsbeth could be gunning for Ahsoka. Maybe that's why we see the Eighth Brother fighting Ahsoka here. But we also see, because we get a shot of a Lambda shuttle shooting at Ahsoka and the Eighth Brother, and they're like running full bore right towards the starship. So maybe, I don't know, I could be wrong there, but I'm going to die on this hill that is 100% the Eighth Brother. Until proven otherwise, to me, that's the Eighth Brother. And so going back to what I was mentioning earlier, we're going to be getting a very close retelling of the final scene in Star Wars Rebels. And I love this moment, right? Seeing Sabine putting her hand up to this mural, because bro, this is a shot from Rebels. Like, look at that. Like, how incredible is that, guys? I saw that and it was just like, this could bring a tear to my eyes when I was watching this, guys. Like, it made me that freaking happy. It was so great. It just felt very special seeing that, and I cannot wait to see this moment when the episode drops, because I feel like it's going to be very special. I love Star Wars Rebels so much, so to me, this was just super, super special. And bro, we get this shot. I had to talk about this shot because we get to see not the first live action appearance of a Purrgil, but we get to see a Purrgil, and bro, this Purrgil looks dope. I love this scene. So we've seen the Purrgil appear multiple times. Primarily, they first appeared in Star Wars Rebels. They appeared multiple times in Rebels, but let's not forget they also appeared in Mandalorian in episode 1 of this past season, in season 3. They appear in the scene when Din and Grogu are flying in hyperspace, and Purrgil are capable of flying through hyperspace. Basically, they breathe in this gas called Clauzon. Is it Clauzon 96? Clauzon, I can't remember the number, but Clauzon something. And then they're able to basically process that gas internally, and that allows them to travel through hyperspace. And what's cool, I actually really like this in canon. Purrgil are what inspired spacefarers, ancient spacefarers in the Star Wars galaxy, to develop hyperdrives and to be able to travel in hyperspace, which I think is really cool. And then we get our first, we've seen this image. We saw it around, people were leaking it from Star Wars Celebration, but we get our first official shot, I should say, of our boy Thrawn, played by Lars Mikkelsen, looking dope. I love this. This looks so great. I think Lars Mikkelsen is going to be dope in live action as Thrawn. He's appeared in The Witcher, which I'm not the biggest fan of The Witcher, but I thought Lars Mikkelsen was pretty good in that series. So I'm very excited to see Lars Mikkelsen reprise his role as Thrawn, because he voiced Thrawn in Rebels, but this time to do it in live action. We've already talked about this. Again, I totally think that Sabine is going to be Force sensitive. And then we see her rocking Ezra's lightsaber. And you have to remember that Ezra gave Sabine his lightsaber during the liberation of Lothal. So before he winds up going to the Chimera, Thrawn's flagship, in the finale of Rebels, he gave Sabine his lightsaber. So I think that's dope that she still got his lightsaber and she's using it to fight Shin, which I'm super excited to see this duel play out. And then again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, right? Balin talking about Anakin, which again just totally debunks my theory that my thought was like, oh, is this dude a Jedi from the High Republic or a Jedi from the Old Republic, and he traveled through the world between worlds, which now we know that's not the case, right? So my thought is that Balin survived Order 66. Shin looks young, but she looks like she has a Padawan braid. So I'm assuming he encountered Shin at some point after the fall of the Jedi and the Republic, and then began training her. I'm so excited to learn about Balin and to learn about Shin. I'm really excited to see the relationship between those two, the motivations between them, and to learn more about their backstory. They just seem super interesting to me. It's a shame I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head now, but the actor that played Balin sadly passed away recently, and that's a shame. I feel like from what the clips we've got of him, he looks like he's doing a great job in portraying Balin. So it's a bummer. We probably won't be, we don't know how the story is going to play out, but even if Balin survives, we sadly won't get more of him unless Lucasfilm decides to recast, which I don't think they would do that, even if that's the case. And again, as I mentioned earlier, right, the theme of the past. I'm not here to discuss my past. Ahsoka, I think you are, homegirl. I think that's something that we're going to see her and Sabine doing. You know, trying to, I don't want to say get over trauma, but to face traumas that they've dealt in the, that they've dealt in the past, or things that they've encountered in the past, so that they can grow as individuals, become better individuals. And again, like I said, I think the series is going to be about those two finding themselves to some degree, while also finding, you know, Ezra and Thrawn. I think that's going to be a central theme of this series. At least that's one of the things that I got from the trailer. Star Wars Nerdy Boys, what's going on, my man? And then, I had to take a screenshot of this. I love Sabine's armor. Like, we see her armor throughout each seasons of the Clone Wars change colors. And by the end of it, I love Sabine's look. She's got like dark hair. Her armor is dark. It just looks so sick. If you guys watch my streams, you know I pretty much wear nothing but like black. So I'm always drawn to dark looking armor, dark colors, and I loved her armor towards the end of Rebels. And I love that we're seeing her armor is looking just as we saw it in season 4 of Rebels. It looks sick. I can't wait to see more of it in Ahsoka. I was really excited when we got this shot. Star Wars Nerdy Boys, I love that you love Star Wars transmissions, my man. I'm extremely happy to hear that. I appreciate the love. Thank you so much, my friend. And then this shot here, I think this is Balin and Shin attacking Ahsoka's starship, but I'm not entirely sure. But that's my thought, is that this is Shin and Balin attacking Ahsoka and Sabine. And then, bro, again, we end the trailer with what I'm going to say is undoubtedly the 8th brother and Ahsoka dueling. So it looks like those two are going to be dueling multiple times in the series, which I'm all for. I think at some point we're going to see Ahsoka murk the 8th brother. But holy crap, guys. Ahsoka. That's everything I caught. There's a lot to digest in, what was the trailer, like 2 minutes, 15 seconds? There's a lot to digest from that 2 minutes. I'm sure there's stuff that I've missed. If there's anything that you caught that I did not, let me know down in the comments. Would love to get your thoughts. Would love to hear your theories as well. Do you agree with some of my theories? Or do you have some other theories that I didn't mention? Let me know down in the comments, because I would love to hear your thoughts. I will be working on videos about our favorite Ghost Crew members. I've already started writing up some scripts for videos about both Sabine and Hera. I started doing that like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So keep a lookout. You're going to start to see some stuff from Star Wars Transmissions on Hera, Sabine, Ezra. I want to definitely start doing some more videos about the Ghost Crew. I love Star Wars Rebels so much. And again, I'm doing my rewatch, so figured, hey, this is a perfect time to start sharing some love for Star Wars Rebels. And I would totally recommend if even if you've watched Rebels before, do a rewatch, man. It is so good. I'm like 5 or 6 episodes into season 1, and it's like the 3rd or 4th time I've rewatched the series, and I'm just, every time I watch it, I'm like, I love these characters so much. I love the relationships between these individuals. I love some of the great lore that we get in the series, some of the great like information about the Force, about the Jedi. It is just such spectacular storytelling. I love it. Can't recommend Star Wars Rebels enough. But with that said, my friends, I don't know if I'm going to go play some Halo or if I'm going to relax or what I'm going to do. Maybe it was kind of hot today. I think I didn't get a chance to go for walks. Maybe I'll see if Danny Girl wants to take a walk. Either way, I'm going to go and chill and relax and digest the amazingness that is the Ahsoka trailer. But let me know down in the comments what you guys thought about the Ahsoka trailer. Now's a good time, you frickin' knuckleheads. Like this video. Subscribe to Star Wars Transmissions. We got the Q&A that we do. I'm going to hopefully be doing the Q&A in the next couple of days, so keep a lookout for that. We got shorts that we release, videos that release, so definitely subscribe to Star Wars Transmissions. If you're not, what the hell are you doing? Follow Star Wars Transmissions on TikTok and Twitter at SW Transmissions. Always love the support and hearing from you guys. So with that said, my friends, may the Force be with you and stay nerdy.